What's up, guys? Sloppy Joe here. For some reason I've been on a kick of watching versus videos on YouTube as my dog rolls on the ground and yawns. But I've been on this kick watching, I want to say foolish videos, AR-15 versus AK-47, which is completely ridiculous because really you should be comparing AR-15 M16 to AK-74 variant rifles, not 47. So there's the ration of those, which are very popular because it's kind of along the lines of what I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to foolishly throw my hat into the 9mm versus 45 argument, or not really an argument in my mind. You know, one of the things I want to talk about that I see a lot of these videos doing, and it's cool in a sense, but I see a lot of guys shooting garbage, junk, cans of Spam, milk jugs, water jugs, you know, basically crap they have lying around their yards, and somehow drawing some kind of hard conclusion that this is better than this because of what happened to this hunk of crap that I found laying in my garage and I shot it. Whether it be processed meat or a hunk of crap that they found laying around the garage. Or actually shooting crap, who knows. But I find it really ridiculous that guys do this and then draw some kind of hardline conclusion like this is science, which it's not. And that brings me into one of the hot topic words that I hear and I hate, which is knockdown power or stopping power, especially when you're talking in terms of pistol calibers, because pistols are not designed to take down large game or stop a man in one shot. They're designed to get you a larger, more effective weapon. A rifle, assault rifle, a battle rifle, whatever that may be. Now we're talking in terms of Full Metal Jacket. And studies have shown, and I'll put a link to this site where I found this information, and it was very thorough, and I'm not just finding some website from some guy in the middle of Louisiana who said this is fact. This is actually a writer who did quite a bit of science and research on this, and he found that with a 45, in instances where people fired at other individuals, the percentage of shots that were one-stoppers with the 45 was 39%. With the 9mm, it was 34%. Not a big difference. Now, here's the one in terms of military usage where I know that in military they teach guys to keep firing until the threat is neutralized. So that might be 1 shot, 2 shots, 10 shots, who knows. The point is you should keep shooting until the person stops, drops, and is dead or incapacitated or wounded beyond the ability to continue fighting. So in this study they found that with the 45, the average rounds to incapacitate a person was 2.08 rounds to incapacitate. On the 9mm, it was 2.45. Not a vast difference. You're talking half of 1 full percentage point. So even if you round that up, say 3 rounds with the 9mm, then it kind of, you get into the realm of now you're in the other discussion, which is capacity versus shot placement. So yes, you might have to fire an extra round, rounding up, but you have 19, 20 rounds to do it versus 8 or 9 with a 45. And now, of course, guys, I've seen this said on forums and boards, and it's completely ridiculous. Again, well, guys will say, I'd rather have one well-placed shot from my 45 than shoot multiple times with the 9mm. Well, that's great if you are a 100%, you shoot exactly where you're aiming, 100% of the time, under threat, under duress, adrenaline pumping, the shiznit's hitting the fan, all hell's breaking loose. You pull out your 1911 or other .45 variant, and you stop, line up the shot, and you fire, and you hit the guy, boom, right in the head. He drops like a sack of potatoes. Threat neutralized. The day is saved. Great. But I don't think that ever happens. I think the percentage of that actually happening is minute, minuscule. So small, why even bother talking about it? The fact of the matter is, if you watch police shootouts, even criminal shootouts, people are just spraying bullets under the duress. I mean, even people who are trained, they're shooting. Yes, they're shooting at a general area that they've been trained. There's the threat. Shoot at the threat. But they're not sitting there going, oh, I am so good, I can pick my shot with my handgun from 50 feet away while the man's running at me or running behind cover, and pop a round off, and boom, he drops. So the guys who talk about shot placement, that's great. If you can hit a vital area of the body, that being the brain, anywhere controlling motor function, the spinal cord, the nervous system, or a shot through the heart, which even so, a shot in the heart, the person still has to bleed out. Now, it's going to be a very fast bleed out, but there's going to be several seconds that the person is still, we'll say, thrashing about before they bleed out and they're done from their internal wounds. So, yes, shot placement's important, but is anyone really going to be able to shoot perfectly under duress if that were to happen? Probably not. So then we come down to, you might need to shoot 2 or 3 times before the threat is neutralized. So then you're in the realm of 2.08% to 2.45%. It's a wash. It just is. So that argument, I think, is really needs to be put to rest. Now, talking about motor function and dropping a target and all that, people, again, now we're talking about knockdown power. And I think knockdown power works well on people who are not well educated in the way bullets and things like that work. It's a great word. It's a great buzzword to use for a guy who walks in and says, I want to defend my family. I need a pistol. And the shop owner or whoever it is can say, what you really need is a .45. Yes, this will hold more bullets, but this has got stopping power. It's got knockdown power. And I think guys, in general, not everyone, but generally, think of the .45 as a vaporizer. When it hits matter, it blows it into nothing but atoms and dust and mist, which is not the case. It's just a big metal ball, which is what the 9mm is, just a smaller metal bullet. So, no, this is not the end-all be-all of everything, nor is this. But based on FBI testing what they have to accomplish, they basically accomplish the same thing. There's a standard. It's 12 inches minimum, and I'm trying to remember, and they have to penetrate, X amount of gel through soft clothing, things like that. And both of these do that. And the only reason the military is talking about moving away from the 9mm going back to .45 is not because of stopping power or knockdown power. It's because the 9mm over-penetrates in most cases. It moves too fast, and if you're standing behind it, or if there's a, let's say, an innocent standing behind an individual, there's a chance that you could penetrate 2 bodies with one shot. So it over-penetrates. That's why they're thinking about going back to the .45. So, but in the civilian world, now we can talk about hollow points, which is something the military are not allowed to use. They are forbidden from using hollow points. So, hollow points in the real world are designed to hit soft tissue, mushroom, increase in size, fragment, increase the wound cavity, all that, which they do. But and then guys see this in gel. When you shoot gel, it expands and then contracts again. So it gets big, it expands, it stretches, and then goes back down to a small size. So the human body, that's what's going on inside. The human body is very, it's durable to a certain extent, but it's designed to stretch and move, and it does that. So when a bullet's passing through, it stretches and expands and then shrinks back down. Now, we won't argue that the .45 hollow point makes a bigger wound channel, but it's not necessarily more lethal, because what a lot of times happens, and if you look at gunshot wounds, say like in ER photos, and you see a gunshot wound, so you see where the bullets entered the body, and the hole is small. I mean, it's not like this giant cavernous hole that's been blown through the individual. It's a little hole, and there's not a lot of blood gushing and pouring out, because the skin, the fat under your skin, the muscle, everything is just kind of closed back down, and blood coagulates. Your white blood cells, they clot and close up the wound. So what's going to happen is, yes, you're going to bleed out, but it's going to be internal bleeding out. It's not like you've opened up this channel and blood's just going to be pouring out both ends and like a faucet. You're going to have to bleed out, but it's going to be slowly. And a lot of times, a lot of people survive handgun wounds unless, again, they're hit in something vital. So unless you're shooting a person in the lungs and doing massive lung damage to where they're going to basically choke on their own blood and drown in it, or they're going to asphyxiate because they can't take in enough oxygen to keep breathing. Unless you shoot the heart, which is, again, it's going to be a bleed out. It's not instant death. The person drops, they're done. The kidneys, the liver, things like that. You can't function without them, but at the same time, if you shoot a person, their kidney explodes or their liver, they're going to survive for a little bit of time before they bleed out and they just die. So that comes back to the only way that you're going to instantly drop a person and one-stop shot them is if you're hitting the motor cortex of the brain, or you're shooting and severing the spinal cord, which, again, unless you're so skilled that you can hit a person on the run attacking you, coming at you, and you can shoot them directly in the head, and that's it, lights out. Again, studies show that you're going to be going body multiple times, 2-3 shots, with either of these with almost identical results. And even then, I believe what happens is it's not necessarily that the person is not going to further their attack on you because they've been shot or because they just physically can't. It's because they realize they've been shot, and I would imagine that part of the brain kicks in where, oh, I better not worry about them and try to take care of myself. So anyways, so the arguments, I think, are outdated, and I think we can move on past them at this point, because, all the studies show, the military testing, private testing with hollow points, all that, energies, all the data suggests that these are very similar rounds. So why are we still arguing about it? I think it comes down to pride in the USA, the good old American .45, or the Euro 9mm. I think there's a bit of patriotism. I think it's the people who think bigger is better, and always will be, to which I try to use the argument with guys that say that of, well, I've got a rock this big, I'm going to throw it at you as hard as I can. Let's say I can throw it 5 miles an hour at your head. Or I can throw this baseball-sized rock at your head as hard as I can, which would, let's just say, 30 miles an hour. So would you rather I throw this at you at 10 miles an hour, that weighs 50 pounds, or this 2-pound rock and I could throw it at you at 30 miles an hour at your head. Which would you prefer? Well, hopefully the answer is you prefer neither, because both of them, in all likelihood, are going to kill you. Or that's like saying, I've said this to friends of mine, I said, well, okay, we're going to talk about 45 9mm, blah, blah, blah. Would you prefer that I bludgeon you to death with an axe in the chest, or would you prefer I bludgeon you to death with a sledgehammer? You know, which would you prefer? You know, I beat you with a sledgehammer, or I beat you with an axe? Which one? Both of them are going to kill you. So it's either case is not pleasant. So this idea that one is going to somehow be more survivable than the other in most cases, or that one is going to be more magic bullet than the other, that it's going to, you know, when it's fired, it can pass through matter and walls and hit the person and they vaporize, and all that's left is two steaming stumps at the knees where the body used to be. You know, it's just all ridiculous. And again, I think it's just something that is easy to sell people on the idea of something being better than others, and all the data suggests otherwise. So I think it's something that we can just move on past. There's no sense in talking about it anymore. Either or is a perfect carry round. You don't have to. One isn't better than the other. If you prefer and shoot 1911s very well and you enjoy them, you've been shooting thousands and thousands of rounds, and that's what you're comfortable with, by all means keep carrying the 45. If a 45 is not your cup of tea and you'd rather carry a 9mm Browning, CZ, Glock, whatever it is, then carry that. But this idea that one is somehow infinitely better than the other is just, it's not. Neither of them are that much better than the other. They both have their pluses, they both have their minuses, but those all, I think, equal and cancel each other out to where they're basically the same. It's a wash. So, that all being said, I don't carry either. I carry a 9x18 Makarov pistol. So, you know, carry what you want. Carry a 380. Carry a 9mm or a 9x18 Makarov. Carry a 40. Carry a 44. Carry a 44 Magnum. The point is, carry what you're comfortable with. Carry what you're confident in. But know that between these two in particular, there's really not that much difference. I don't know why we're still arguing. Why are we even bothering talking about it? Why did I even bother making this video? I'm ranting on for going on 18 minutes about something that really doesn't matter, but I hope that some people might watch this and go, you know what? It doesn't really matter. Why are we even talking about it anymore? Drop it. So, that all being said, maybe we'll move on to AR-15s versus AK-74s, because AK-47 versus AR is ridiculous. So, and then after that, we'll tackle world peace and hunger and uniting the whole world into happiness and joy. So, until then, the best thing to carry when you leave your house, no matter what you prefer, leave the house with your brain. Probably the best thing in any situation is to not push yourself in a situation where you have to find out if you're a good shot or not. So, use your brain. Don't be stupid. Shoot safe. Enjoy. It's Friday here. Enjoy the weekend. We're going to get out and go shooting, me and the wife. And, yeah, hope to see you out there. Enjoy. And Sloppy Joe out.